Jared Polin Frono's photo. Don Comment, I have another Adorama Picks rapid fire critique, but this time it's a little bit different. Back in May 2nd, 2011, I put out a post that I think is one of the best posts I've ever put out called Seeing and Feeling the Image. What it was all about was my friend Taylor, I gave her the camera, a Nikon D3000 with a 35-1.8 on it, and really she didn't have the knowledge of the exposure triangle or anything. I just sent her out on her way with some basic tips and ideas to go out and shoot, and what she captured really said something to me. So if you haven't seen this video or you haven't checked it out, click on the screen right now. This is one to check out. But now we're in 2011. She's progressed on her own without me, which is fine. And she has picked up new gear. She has kept on shooting. She is doing jobs, weddings, and things like that, or some weddings for friends, just really starting to find her way in the photo world. So I asked her to send me 10 to 15 images. I haven't looked at them yet. I'm doing it different because I saw like they all popped up on the screen when I clicked the link that she sent me, but I don't want to see them. I want you guys to get my reactions to them. I want to see what is new and how it's going. So she has sent over her set, and I'm just going to start. I'm not even looking at these other ones. I'm starting right here, and we're going to see what's going on here. f2.5, 35. I believe she picked up the 35 1.4. ISO 800. We're on a Nikon. Oh, it's a D3000. All right. So, okay. Yes. So that would be the 35 1.4. We can think that the D3. So compositionally, this is really cool. Picking up the shot. This is her daughter on the left-hand side. I like what's going on. Some things that I would consider doing slightly different. Getting a little closer. So we'd cut out something like this. We'd cut out this area so it's nice and even. We don't have the distractions of the trees here. The lines are pretty straight. I don't think there's much else you can do. But filling the frame just a little more with this type of composition with the door, I like that. But just coming in a little bit more to get rid of this would be better. I think it needs to be boomified a little more to stand out. And then secondary, possibly focusing in on just this area. Now, I know that's hard with a 35 millimeter, and you have to move your feet, and she's an aperture priority, not a big deal. That's perfectly fine when you're starting out. So that's what we've got. The idea and the theories and the thoughts behind it, pretty good. I like what's going on there. In a grander photo story, I'm sure this would work in context with something else, but this doesn't do it for me. It's a bun, hair up in a bun, and goggles on, and this one doesn't do it for me, so I'm gonna keep going. So now we have like more of a what Halloween would we say? I like what's going on with the eyes. Now we've moved up to a D7000, a 17-50 Tamron. I hate that. I don't like Tamron for some reason. I don't know why. I just don't like it. So the image is nice, but what we need to do with something like this, it needs to be a little brighter. We need to make it go boom, and we need to make it go pop. It's one thing to capture an image. It's one thing to be able to take the picture. But photography doesn't stop when you take the picture. As a lot of people know, but some people don't realize, is that a lot of images are made into their best of the best of the best with honor, sir, when it comes into processing. And I see that with my work. I can see that the image is there when I go to process it, but as soon as I boomify it or make it come to life, it just pops off the screen and it makes all of the world of difference. There's some tweaks I would make to this. I like the eye contact. I like the composition. I like the connection going on here, but I would like to see the processing done a little better. Yeah. 50. I'm just looking at settings because I like to look at settings just to see. Again, when I say aperture priority is not a problem, it's not a problem generally. But then you see that the exposure is off, and I think that it's not in focus. And I think that because it's not, the editing is trying to bring that back. So I think that's what's making it a little distracting in this sense of the word. So my dad was just calling. I'll call him back in a couple minutes. So I'm not feeling this one. If I had to pick between the two, I'd stick with this. I'd work on the processing for this because this one's sharp and this one, not so much. I just think the focus is off and it was tried to be brought back in the post-processing. Oh, that's sweet. Again, Now, what are we at? D7000, Tamron, 17 to 50, 2.8, 640 ISO, shot at 2.8. So shooting through the glass is nice. Again, this is a great moment captured. I like that we have smiling people here in the background. That looks like a barista because we can see that it says coffee house. The composition, great way to choose that this is here and this is here. These are natural lines causing a natural frame to be right here. It's the processing that's lacking. It needs to be brightened up, in my opinion, but I think that is what it needs. I think a lot of people would agree with that. It needs to be a little brighter. How could we have done this with the exposure? See, the aperture priority is being thrown off. It's being thrown off by something in this case, and it's underexposing this image. What could we do here to make it brighter? We could bump our ISO up higher, but we could also simply drop our shutter speed from 1/250th of a second, about a stop, to 1/125th of a second to let more light in. They're not moving. We don't have to worry about the frame being frozen. And there's not much else more. It's at 2.8, that's fine. It's going to be sharp, but 1/125th of a second or 1/100th of a second would give us the proper exposure. Or you can bring this back in Lightroom without much of an issue because it can handle that. The D7000 can handle that file, so that's what I would say about that. You can handle it, just you got to work on the processing for this one. IS 1/50th of a second. That's interesting. And that's why at 1/50th of a second, there's an issue. And the issue is that it's not sharp or in focus. It just isn't. And I'm basing it off of this image that I'm seeing right here. But do you see how this looks ghostly here? Not ghostly, but it doesn't look sharp. It doesn't grab you, where even this you can see is sharp. But right here, you can't see it as sharp because it's not. It's that 1/50th of a second. 1600 ISO, 2.8. Yes, we need a faster shutter speed. With the D7000, you can bump that ISO up higher. You can shoot at 3200, which would give you 1/100th. It's possible that it's motion blur on the person moving. So it's just not there. Now, we'll skip and talk about the composition. That is great. I love that the umbrella is not right in the middle. I love how the umbrella is left to right. It's nice and even that way. And she is here nicely. The light coming in is nice. The processing's better than the one prior. It's a little brighter. I like that. And it's a little more boomy. It's just not sharp. So we need to work on that. But the image, seeing the image, you're still there. That is still the most important thing to do. And this is one of those that I can't like. I can't like this, and please, and I'll preface it, Taylor, with don't be discouraged. This is just saying it like it is to help you. Hopefully you take this well and take it to another level. This backlighting does not work for the bride and the groom in this situation. Because, well, one, the fan is in the way, and you've got this hanging down here. I don't know if this is what you were going for, and I'd like to ask you that because you have aperture priority here, meaning the light may have most likely red for the background, and you didn't want this. You wanted them to be exposed properly, but instead the aperture everything was thrown off. The exposure says 1/250th of a second because it's reading the background. That's why I say shoot manual, because we know indoors, if this is what it's looking like right now indoors, we know that 1/250th of a second is not going to cut it, especially at 640 ISO. At 2.8, we would have to bump the ISO. I'm thinking 3200 ISO right off the bat. And at that point, maybe 1/100th or 1/125th is just my guess based off of this image. I think what she tried to do is that it came out dark in the camera when she shot it, and then in the computer saw that it could look okay as a silhouette, but it doesn't, in my opinion. I'll move on to the next one. First thing that came to mind was this a phone booth? Kissing in a phone booth? It's not a phone booth because there's not many of those. It's a door being pushed open. I like it. It's leaving me more to my imagination because we've got the rain on the window, but the composition is spot on. That looks really good. I just wish I could see more of the people. I know that they're behind this glass, so I could get more of a context about who they are. But again, maybe it's a mystery of the kissing couple. So I can tell I'm doing this critique different. I can really tell that this critique's different. I guess it's like that when it's somebody personal to you that you're doing a critique of. Okay. D610. By the way, she didn't ask my opinion on stuff when it came to buying lenses because she knew that if she said the wrong lens that she would get, I may get upset or yell or something. Not really yell, but be like, why are you doing this? She has her own style. That's what it's all about. This is a 50. I'm assuming a 1.4. I know she picked up a 35 1.4. She enjoys the primes. I like this. I like the composition. I like that this is probably a vase, and then we've got the table, and I like that there's some, you get the bubbles and everything reflecting here. The ring looks good. This is where you start getting into more of a macro type lens, would make it even better, because then you could really tighten up the focus around this. You know what? It actually looks like the reflection is in focus more so than the ring itself. Now, generally, rule of thumb, I would think we would want this ring in focus. Now, if you wanted the reflection in focus, I would fill the frame more and not have as much of this ring, the actual ring, in it, and focus more on the reflection of the ring itself. So that's just a thought, just an idea, but this is more boomy. This pops more. I mean, I really love the way that this exposure looks right there on the reflection of the ring. All right, now we're moving it up a little bit. Focused on the ring, this entire thing has to be brighter. We have to get you out of aperture priority mode. You need to start taking control of the image yourself. I don't think that 5.6 is necessary here. And if this was shot at 5.6, then I think there was post blur added. Why am I saying that? Because if just this ring's in focus, I would think at 5.6 more of this shoe would be in focus because it's not that far off. It's not that far away. So if this, it looks like it was shot more at a 1.4 than a 5.6, which means I think there was some post blur added. Of course, I could be wrong, but that's my feeling on it. Is the focus the shoe or is it the ring? If it's going to be the shoe, I want to see the shoe. I don't want to see the ring. I don't feel that it works for a ring photo to have the shoes here out of focus and a very small ring down at the bottom. So couple that with get in tighter. You could use the shoes, turn one sideways, pop the other one this way, put the ring in the middle, and then do a wide shot like this, but also be sure to get in tighter. Get a tighter focus. If you don't have a macro, you could use a 70 to 200. You could fill the frame more with the 200, but the exposure's off again. The camera's being misled by the reflection right here, which is causing the exposure to be shot up in the air, making it 1/250th of a second when that is not what it should be. Based off of the way that this image looks, we're looking at 1/80th to 1/100th of a second, would brighten it up a lot and make it the proper exposure. I can live with this for a wedding. Not much I can say. Color is obviously a little yellow. It's a little warm, but maybe that's the feeling that they were going for. This is one of those wedding shots that you see. Would I like it in better in black and white? Not too sure. It's just an okay type of an image. It's a nice filler type shot. It's a nice B-roll type shot. It's nice to have in an album, but it's not that glamorous wedding shot that I would be drawn to. But it's a start. Composition-wise, yes. Framing-wise, yes. Exposure-wise, she's now in manual. Look at that. Shooting this one at 1.8, not really necessary to shoot at 1.8. Probably going to focus right around here, and the rest of the stuff's going to go out. You could do 2.8, 3.5, something like that, 3.2, and still have this background blowout. But nice to see that you jumped into the manual mode. Oh, it's an 85 1.8. All right, off into manual. Here we go. So maybe she's yelling at me at the beginning. This is why I didn't go through the images first, because I wanted to just get my gut reaction. Why am I feeling that the focus isn't right here? F4, 1/1000th of a second, 200. What's that say? Does that say 2200 Does that say 2200 ISO? How do you get to 2200 ISO unless you're in auto ISO? Because I have 3D610 sitting over there. I'm going to have to ask her that question. Anyway, framing, composition. Cutting off the arms here with the flowers. I think I would want to see that or see less. So either cut it off right about here, boob level. Could be distracting because of boobage, but it's distracting me because the flowers are cut. Let's get this one vertical. Let's get the hands being held and the flowers in a tighter shot. I like the thought of the composition that's going on here. I don't like the fact that it's selective color, even though I didn't realize it right away. Either go fully black and white. I don't like selective color in my own opinion. I think that when you try to add things like selective color or take things away, that you're starting to try to compensate for an image that wasn't strong enough to stand out on its own. With that said, I don't mind it that much. Is my phone ringing again? You guys got to hold on for 1 second. I'm going to pause it and tell you what it was all about. All right, so I'm going to move on from this image. I talked about the selective color. Just, it's composition-wise. It's not bad. I love the fact that you're back in the manual. This is great, but moving on to the next one. There we go. We're starting to get better. Where is all my detail over here in the EXIF? Which leads me to believe that a lot of post was done to try to save this image, because I'm not seeing the EXIF data, which means this was probably taken into Photoshop, probably stripped of everything, and then saved. But we'll just talk about the image itself. The exposure, see, this is where flash photography comes into play. When you're going to be doing shots like this against a bright-ass background, this is where you're going to need to do some balancing of light. You're going to want to get a flash and a strobe off to the side here. These are the type of images that are going to be stand apart, and I'm one that doesn't do that type of image. When I'm shooting a wedding, I would have my main shooter. Say if Adam was shooting a wedding with me, he would have a strobe. He would have his light set up separately to do a shot like this, balancing it with the outdoor light so that it would look much more, I almost said epic, and I hate that. It would look better. So this is not something, okay. One thing we'll just say here, compositionally, watch this door handle right here that's in the way, not that you can't remove that later. This, to save this, black and white is going to have to be the way to go. I like the moment that's going on, but a lot of these indoor shots, if you're not adding light to it, it's just going to look like just another snapshot. And unfortunately, that's what this looks like. I think black and white would be one way to wrestle or save it, but I don't know all of the settings to try to help more with this. I just think get them outside to do dip shots like this. It's going to look much better, and start adding some flash to it if that is the direction you're going. Maternity shot. Now we're back to settings. Why are we back to aperture priority? I don't know. I'm going to have to make a phone call right in the Philly style, a phone call right after this. So I like it. I like the darkness that's surrounding it because and the lights are coming in. That's because of the aperture priority is reading for the outdoor light. I don't like the power lines. I don't like what's going on outside the image. I may shift my angle more to get more of her face. I like the composition. Sorry, I don't like the composition fully, but I like the look on her face. I like the moment that was captured, but I do think that black and white would feel better here and also get rid of that background a little more. Shift over to the side. You'd still get the playpen, the crib in there. It's pretty ominous. It's pretty dark the way that it is right here. So I got to get out of aperture priority for this. Shooting into the light. Now you're into manual, because if you were not in manual, Taylor, in this image, this is all that you would see the exposure getting red for. So congratulations, great exposure. Just saw the reflection here. That looks good. Beautiful type image. I like the composition. Maybe one thing we could do is move in a little tighter so that we just focus in on this type of area. I like the way the chase is and a little bit there because her smile is beautiful here. I just think that this candle, cutting it off, it's either should be all in or all out in this case, because you've got this dead space right here that you could work on. So I like that. I would love to see, if I was shooting this, you got the nice wide shot, come in a little tighter. I'm going to draw the box here. Boom. And then keep coming in a little more. Then focus in on these hands. Then focus in on these feet. Then focus in on her smile. So just, there's other things that you can pick out of an image like this. All right, this is cropped. We can see that this is cropped right off the bat because it's pretty much a square. I like the low light feel of it. Again, the aperture priority is reading for here, not so much reading for here. It's pretty close. I don't mind the lighting here. I would be interested, again, to see it in black and white. And yes, I talk about black and white a lot, but that's just me. That's my personal preference. And I don't dislike the color here. It's a nice job getting what she got with this. I like it, but I don't know why we're probably cropped because it cut somebody out of the frame over here. So then if that's going to be the case, go vertical. You don't have to worry so much about the rest of the image, and you still have, well, you don't have to worry about what's over here because that's a way of naturally cropping it. So it's pretty good. It's a nice image, and I think that's taken us, that's it. That's all of those images that she has right here. So that is a different type of critique because this is a person I know. This is a person I've been very close with in the past, and I don't want the perception to be that I am trying to turn them off to photography in any way. It's just giving a critique or criticism in the way that I was given it back in school. Actually, no, they were more harsh in school, and they didn't really give you the positive nature of it so much. My goal with critiques is to find the positives any way I can, or find something, even if I don't like the image, say the one without all of the metadata. Even if I'm not liking it, I'm trying to point out things that you can do to make them better. And to me, that is a critique. It's giving people the tools to do something else, to do it the next way, to not just sit here and go, I don't like it, I hate it, here's why I hate it. It's like, here's some things I don't like about it, but here what some things that I do like. I like the framing and the composition, sans that doorknob, and if you want to build on this, you would start to shoot with some flash for shots like this. So that is a different Adorama Picks rapid fire critique. And yeah, Taylor, thanks for sending those in. You guys can send yours in. Just go over to the website, click submit photos. And if you haven't seen this video running yet, you haven't seen it, this article I wrote about seeing and feeling, it is older, but it is a great video in my opinion. Then definitely click on the screen right now to go check it out. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.